Ouch. Oh, I forgot to write this thing. Hey, Luz. I'm going to do a little chat on eclipses. Some people love talking about eclipses. Orosoma. Listen, if you guys don't know about this, get some. I'm also live on YouTube for the first time. So I'm doing 2 platforms. I'm live on YouTube and I'm live on Instagram. So this should be interesting. Alrighty. Well, not sure how many people are gonna come on here since it was kind of thanks, girl. It was kind of a impromptu nudge from spirit, right? But I wanted to go live so that I can film a longer video and talk about eclipses. We have an eclipse coming up tomorrow, which I'm sure you've probably seen on your feed somewhere, somehow. And whenever we move into an eclipse season, there's a whole bunch of like information. And I'm just going to like demystify some of it. I'm not even sure if demystify is the word. I think more of clarify and re-empower, because the way that information on eclipses is shared can invoke fear, and it can also give the impression that it's a time for celebration and gathering, which is also not necessarily the case. So, first and foremost, what I want to say about eclipses is that this is a time where what is unconscious, what has been hidden, comes to the surface. So, for me, eclipses represent the subconscious mind. It's all about the subconscious mind. And there's many things that fall under that umbrella of the subconscious mind. But a term that many of us are already familiar with is shadow work. So, for me, eclipses are a time of shadow work. Now, we can say that it's a little bit of forced shadow work, because what you are normally able to suppress, to keep hidden, is uncovered, whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not. So many people are faced with, we can call them their demons, right? They're faced with their demons. They're faced with their secrets, maybe things that you've hidden and you have forgotten about. You ever put something away for safekeeping and then you totally forget it was there until you go through this whole cleansing process and you're like, holy shit, I forgot about that pair of jeans. Well, that's what happens during an eclipse. However, it may not be a pair of jeans that you were really excited to find. Typically, what's going to come up is the stuff that you didn't want to deal with. And so the eclipse is bringing you this opportunity for you to deal with it at this point. So that is what an eclipse can do for you. It'll bring you an opportunity. So this is an opportunity for you to take the time to actually sit with what it is that you are feeling, no matter how uncomfortable it may feel, so that you don't have to deal with it again in a more intense fashion later on. Because whatever you're not dealing with, it doesn't go away. It's just put, you know, on a low simmer. And if you've ever cooked something and put it on a low simmer, what happens? It begins to condense and it begins to thicken, right? So it becomes more concentrated. So don't think just because you're putting something on the back burner, it's going to go away. It actually becomes more concentrated. And then it's a little bit more difficult or a little bit more of a hassle to deal with it. I'm picturing like when you're making a caramel, right? So basically, with caramel, you have water and sugar on a low simmer, and when you first have that water and that sugar, it's pretty easy, it's pretty fluid to mix around and stir. But the longer that it simmers, the thicker it becomes. And the thicker it becomes, it's harder to stir it. You begin to get stuck. Yeah? That's what's happening when you are putting things on the back burner. And so this is an opportunity for you to face that, to take things off of the back burner and actually deal with it, right? And so, you know, eclipses accelerate your karma. And that may sound like very esoteric, like, oh, karma. But I think at this point, a lot of people are pretty familiar with karma and have generally accepted it, even if it's just using it in passing in like pop culture phrases or terminology. But when eclipses come through, it's highlighting your karma and it's accelerating your karma, right? It's like I said, it's a forced evolution. It's bringing in, I don't want to say like boot camp energy, but that's what I thought about. Um, boot camp energy, or let's just call it tough love, right? So it's bringing in that tough love energy where it's saying, listen up, biatch. This is your shit, and someone has to deal with it. It's not going to be me, it's going to be you. So it's pushing you towards your evolution, right? This isn't meant to disempower you. This is meant to give you a push. Sometimes we do need that push. Sometimes we do need that tough love to actually start doing what it is that we already know we need to do. We already know this. It's just a matter of having a little fire lit under our butt to actually do it. Now, as wise as our ancients were, the ancestors were extremely wise, the ancient civilizations were extremely wise. They've given us so much. Um, However, I will say that they also had a bit of superstition in their bones, specifically with eclipses, what we're talking about here. So, in some cultures, in some indigenous cultures, like they're just like totally off the grid when it comes to eclipses. No going outside. If you're going outside, you're covering your head, you're covering all of your crops, you're covering all of your plants. And here's my take on that. So, they were still living within the paradigm of worshiping gods and fearing gods. And now it's time to embrace the paradigm of the sovereignty of your soul and understanding the power that you hold within you, even as a human. And that requires that you stop fearing this dimension of control, right? This controlling paradigm of the gods, right? This dimension of the gods, or being fearful of what's happening in through the astrological movements, or fearing certain planets, like fearing Saturn or fearing Pluto, because that fear doesn't bring you anything. The only thing that it brings is disempowerment. There's no reason to have a fear of what is happening astrologically, as long as you take the responsibility for how that may impact you. And so, with our predecessors and their superstitions, um, you know, I pulled this card today. I'll show it here, and I'll show it here. The curse, right? So, oh my gosh, pulling a card like this is freaky. It's creepy, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm cursed. Like, oh no, I'm cursed. I'm cursed. I'm cursed. Well, what if I told you that you curse yourself? You curse yourself with the way that you think. You curse yourself with the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you talk about others. And what this card is really saying, when you read the transmission, it's talking more about negative thought patterns. Negative thought patterns that keep you identifying and believing false stories. This card talks about ancestral cycles, ancestral karma. And so, again, this is like what I'm talking about with eclipses. What's happening in your subconscious? What are your thought patterns? What are your beliefs? And don't get me wrong, curses are real, hexes are real, they're hella real. Absolutely. There's a lot of crazy, shady shit that goes on in the occult world and the, you know, other spiritual dimensions. And their reservations, their fear, their caution was not unjustified. And I'll say that for two reasons. So, one reason is that because eclipses highlight your subconscious, it's not just your subconscious, it's the collective unconscious that is also being brought to the forefront. And when people's subconscious comes to the forefront, they become very irritable, very triggered, very unstable in their energy because they are met with memories, thought patterns, experiences, things that they have not been wanting to face. And sometimes that may make people feel like they are backed into a corner. And when people feel, or even, people, animals, when you're backed into a corner, you feel threatened. And when people feel threatened, what do? They become more hostile, way more likely to react, more likely to hash out. They come out of pocket, all of a sudden everyone's acting out of character. And I'll also say another reason is that during these times, eclipse portals, specifically on the days of the eclipse, and I just said the word portals, are they're more accessible. They are more accessible, a lot more dimension or multi-dimensional beings have easier access to us. And I'm not saying this to, again, invoke fear or anything. It's just awareness, right? When you have awareness, then you can act appropriately. And when we look at the subconscious, all of our secrets, our dirty, dark secrets, the self loathing, the negative habits, that attracts a certain frequency. That attracts a low vibrational frequency, or it is a low vibrational frequency, specifically when speaking of the negative complexes and the negative emotions. And those lower vibrational frequencies will attract lower vibrational beings. And this is where we get a little bit more into the occultism of eclipses. But when you are in a low vibration, you are more open, more susceptible to lower vibrational beings, experiences, impacts. And I have a whole course. It's a 3-part course on energetic hygiene that you can check out. It's perfect for beginners. Teaches you how to, start tuning into your own energy field, how to clear your energy field, center your energy, and protect your energy. But when we're dealing with the unconscious tendencies, and that is brought to the forefront, for some people, it may even feel amplified, then those access points become easier to access. by lower vibrational beings. And when everyone is going through this process simultaneously, then it is definitely, definitely a time to take heed of your energy and protect your energy. So, you may see like events people want to do, eclipse circles, new moon eclipse, full moon eclipse, sound bath, or cacao ceremony, or shamanic journey, whatever it is. I would advise against it. Again, it's not a time to be in fear, but it's not a time to be in really gathering in groups in that way because you don't know what anyone else is bringing through. The energy is unpredictable. And I've even heard of women having miscarriages after going to these like public events on eclipse days. So again, reiterating, it's not to strike fear or to be in fear. It's to be aware. Does this mean that you have to lock yourself in your house and not go anywhere? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that you have to know who you are. You have to be in your power so that you're not knocked off, sort of to say, so that you're not such an easy target. Because being fearful, like being afraid, if you're in an eclipse portal and you're afraid, again, you're just making yourself an easier target because fear is a vibration that attracts these lower vibrational beings. Take it as an opportunity to alchemize whatever it is that's coming up. And it may even be something that you thought you have already worked through, that you've already healed. But healing is not linear. Healing is a spiral. And sometimes we think we got it and we're just like, that's it. I healed it. I am healed. I am liberated. And then we come around the spiral into the next octave. And, our higher self, spirit, is like, all right, so let's see if you have really healed this. Will you react? Will you respond? Are you able to see this from a different facet of the diamond? So let's do a little brief recap here. Number one, eclipse portals are the time where the unconscious comes to the forefront. The subconscious comes to the forefront. So that which has been hidden, that which lies in the dark, that's what's in the depths of our locked little box. It's coming out. And it's coming out with a force as an opportunity for you to make a decision, a conscious decision, right? So at this point, the subconscious and the conscious are working together, and we have the little oomph, that push from the astrological and cosmic forces. So, with all of these ingredients, all of these elements, you have the opportunity to make a choice. Am I going to run and hide again from these emotions? Am I going to try to run and hide from myself again? Or am I going to face myself? Am I going to face those unpleasant, grimy feelings that I've been avoiding? And in facing them, begin to heal them so that they no longer have this unconscious control over my life, right? Because just because something is hidden, just because something is unconscious, doesn't mean that it doesn't have an impact on you. It's still affecting you, totally affecting you. It's affecting the way that you think, it's affecting the way that you interact with people, it's affecting the way that you show up at your job, it's affecting the way that you show up in relationships, it's affecting the way that you show up in family, it's affecting your capacity for love, it's affecting your capacity for compassion, it's affecting your capacity for abundance. Ooh, keyword there. Everyone wants abundance. So it's an opportunity. And at this time, your karma is accelerated. So what you do to actively work to transmute that will benefit you exponentially. So it's not the time to run and hide. It's the time for you to get up off your ass or sit down on your ass and don't move and commit to processing whatever comes up. I love Kundalini, you guys know that. This is a great time to do some Kundalini work. Work on the arc line, you know? For women, we're working on the arc line here, working on the arc line nipple to nipple. Now, uh, what's an upside of an eclipse? I think all of that is an upside. Any opportunity for you to transmute your karma, to transmute your thought forms, to release ancestral patterns, ancestral beliefs, any opportunity to re-engage with your power, to reclaim your power. That sounds like a hell of an upside to me. It just takes work. People don't like work. People don't like it. Well, I don't know what to tell you. All right. However, what's an upside? Yeah, the unconscious also, it holds all of our secrets, our dirty, dark secrets. It holds all the things that we don't want to face. It holds our traumas and our wounds. But what else is within the unconscious, the subconscious? Creativity. Creativity. Here's this card here. Yemoya. Some in some parts of the world they say Yemanja, but I know her as Yemoya. Anytime I see this card, I'm just like, that could have been me. That could have been me. So Yemoya is a goddess from the Yoruba tradition. She birthed all of the gods and goddesses in the Yoruba tradition. She's queen of the sea. She's a mermaid, right? But here we're talking about waters and tuning into your inner waters, the depths of your water, right? So when there's so many metaphors that you can use when talking about the unconscious or subconscious, but one of the metaphors, it's what's below the surface, what's beneath in the depths of your waters. Water is associated with emotions, with flow, with change, ebbs and tides, right? It's also associated with creativity. So understand that your subconscious, yeah, it does hold the dirty, dark secrets. It holds the emotions, but it also holds your creativity. Many of your desires come from the subconscious. They're stored there. So, how can you also use this time to navigate your waters in a way that allows you to bring your creativity into the world, right? So bringing it from the depths out into land. The the subconscious is a very powerful space. It's through the subconscious that we can connect to the collective unconscious, the collective subconscious, where the universal unconscious, where everything already exists. And so when I say that creativity dwells there, answers dwell there, that's why. Because that subconscious space is an access point. It's like this multi-dimensional database. All of these amazing, just like invisible, I'm seeing like filaments that are communicating, creating this super intricate web of interconnectivity of all dimensions and all beings. And I love talking about the subconscious because, this is, I mean, it's just so fascinating. It's so deep. It's so limitless, really. And in my sessions, in the crystal therapy sessions, we're all up in there. We're all up in the subconscious. Like, all right, what has been programmed in there? What's been programmed in there? What's in there? What's in the subconscious? What does the subconscious believe? And slowly, session by session, we go layer by layer. And with the subconscious, being a doorway, it's a portal. We access different dimensions to also get answers. And you get to witness your own multi-dimensionality, your own multi-dimensional capacity, expansiveness, nature, your multi-dimensional existence. All right. So now let's recap again. Eclipses, time of opportunity. Opportunity to alchemize your karma, right? To release limiting beliefs, to release ancestral patterns, and any type of work that you do during this time of the eclipse, be it meditations, be it your own personal journeys, be it crystal work, kundalini, the effects of that will be multiplied, amplified, accelerated, because eclipses are a time of karmic acceleration. Number 2, do not fear the eclipses, right? Do not fear, or do not allow yourself to fall into the false belief that you are being punished or that you are helpless when it comes to these celestial beings, whether they be planets or whether they be a god or goddess from your tradition, because it's time to transcend that dimension of limitation and understand the impact that you decide you can make in your own life. You decide, you make the choice. And when you're in fear, you're making a choice to let yourself be disempowered. Now, that doesn't mean to walk upon the earth super arrogant. It's simply having this awareness of what the potential implications could be of this unpredictable time, unpredictable energetic space. With that being said, reminding you that it's not a time to go out into social gatherings and have this whole like, ooh, eclipse, whatever, People are always like slapping a label on an event, just trying to get you there. Don't go to any eclipse events. Don't do it. Do not do it. This is a time for you to be with yourself and deal with what you need to deal with in a private space, enclosed space. And I don't mean like enclosed like you need to be in a house, but enclosed within your own energy. And creativity. So you can also use this time of the eclipse to tune into your creativity, the creativity that lies in your subconscious. And sometimes people don't associate the subconscious with creativity, but like I said earlier, the subconscious is a way for you to connect to the unified field where all answers exist, where all the dimensions are communicating with each other. And you can draw on inspiration from there. All right, so I hope, hello, my love. I hope that has been helpful. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm going to post this on my profile. Um, and if there's anything that I forgot, I had 3 points, and I was like, "Vivian, just stick to the 3 points so you don't go running off and off and off and off for 2.5 hours." So if there's anything else that comes up that I feel is relevant to share, then I'll share it on my stories. But this video will be on my feed so that you can come back and watch it from the beginning and get all of the info. Oh, one more thing that I'm going to say. This is also like not a time for you to do your little manifestation rituals or whatever. This is not the time. It's not the time to call anything in. This is a time for you to clear, to cleanse, to purge. So that's what I'll say. Alrighty, y'all. So I hope you enjoyed all of this information. Thank you. Right message at the right time. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my first time going live. Baptized by fire. It's my first time going live on this channel, on this Crystalline and Chrysalis, and my first time going live on YouTube. So be gentle with me, trolls. Other than that, I would love to hear your feedback. We'll talk. This is the type of, not the only type of thing, but the subconscious is one of the cornerstones of what we work with in the Chrysalis. And it's almost like I'm not going to call it like 14 weeks of an eclipse season, but it's definitely will be a lot of shadow work and opportunity for you to recognize what you're believing, the origin of that belief. And in recognizing that, it is, a very strong opportunity for you to release it, to heal it. So, the Chrysalis, it's a 14-week program. And I don't even like saying program because it's so much more than that. But, for layman's terms, it's a 14-week program or container. It's an experiential program. It's live. You get one-on-one sessions with me as well as live group sessions. And it's a process of metamorphosis. Plain and simple. We're going in, we're cleaning, we are illuminating, we're empowering. And by the end of that, you will feel like a version of yourself that honestly you daydreamed about. And you were just like, that kind of like, man, I wish I could be an entrepreneur. I wish I could be happy. I wish I could be confident. You can. Surprise! Plot twist, you can. So if you're interested in the Chrysalis, I have a ton of information on my website. The link is in my bio. You'll just need to book a discovery call so that we can assess if it's the right opportunity for you at this time. But otherwise, have a super wonderful eclipse. Remember how you can use this as an opportunity. And I hope to see you on the other side. Share this with a friend. And I send you my love. Ahava. Oh, wait, how do I end this? Oh, we'll end it here. And now, and I'll end it here. Ciao.